What is going on, Rotogrinders? Dean here at Dean7904. If you want to get all technical on me, that is the DFS handle around the industry. You may have forgot it. It's been a few days. It's 5:30 on the East Coast, 2:30 the West Coast, 4:30 Tennessee time. So, of course, that means time for the flagship show here at Rotogrinders. It's called Grinderslive. Joining me today, Kid Yahoo, Kirk Dees. It's a Friday, but it doesn't really feel like a Friday, right? We're back after the All-Star break and knock this one out, and we have the weekend right around the corner again. But yeah, how are things in your world? Did you enjoy your All-Star break? Did you do anything spectacular? You had that super secret party you probably can't talk about.
Yeah, I can talk about it.
Oh, any anecdotes?
I went on. Yeah, that was probably the only fun thing I did. I went on a yacht with Aguiar and Bobby Gomes. You know him? You know Bobby Gomes at all? He was there.
Yeah, I think he won $1 million at one point.
He did.
Okay.
And it was a good time. We went to a club and saw 50 Cent. You know, John Aguiar's living that DK stock options life right now. He's literally living life like a rapper. And so I was just tagging along for the ride. So that was a lot of fun. I caught up on some rest. It was nice to get some rest for this All-Star break. I was also bored out of my mind at times, but ready to get back into things here and play some contests tonight.
The girlfriend got plenty of Kirk Dees time. Was it too much Kirk Dees time? Is that what the problem was? It's a median somewhere. No,
she was happy because she works during the day, so you know it's not like we're both home all day during each day. But yeah, no, it was she can't stand DFS in general, so
can't imagine why. And you know that's what paid for the apartment or the house or wherever you're living. Maybe, I don't know, possibly. Show her that Yahoo balance. I once saw your Yahoo balance, and I wasn't snooping. I just happened to catch it at the right time, but I was impressed.
It's a big balance.
Is she aware of the balance?
Of course, she's aware of everything.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I went to the Marlins game where Acuna got hurt. That was a bummer.
Oh, you were there. The mush was in effect.
Yeah. I stacked the game, and I did have Jazz. Like Jazz hit that homer and into the park, and like I saw it live, and like it's one of those things where like I saw the play and I'm watching. I'm like, oh, Jazz is an inside the park homer. He's like second base, whoever that was out there. And then it took me a second, and like took me a beat, and I'm like, wait a second, Acuna's in the Braves. He's not a first baseman. I know he's an outfielder. Wait, is he a right fielder? Oh my God, that's Acuna. And that was just the worst. That was a big bummer. So yeah, I mushed Acuna. That was awful. Done for the season. They did add Jock Peterson, you know, but like, you know, obviously it's a big blow to Atlanta, a team that's already dealt with some injuries this year. But yeah, I don't know who the mush is tonight. I actually have something in my head that may be a mush. We'll talk about that soon enough. But what is your general thoughts as far as the slate? You know, it's a lot of the number ones aren't playing because many of the number ones pitch in the All-Star game, and I guess they're probably slated to play Saturday or Sunday or Monday, or getting a difference as far as the rest. But it's a bunch of pitchers that are pretty good for the most part, like nothing necessarily elite, unless you want to count Robbie Ray as being elite this year, which is kind of sort of been. We'll talk about him. And then there's a Coors game. The Dodgers are playing in Coors, and like they're going to be crazy, ownership, even on a slate that has 13 games. We have some weather issues as well too. We'll go ahead and drop that link in chat for guys. What's up, chat? Do subscribe, turn on notifications, fire off some questions. Devin, our fabulous producer extraordinaire, he is dressed to the nines. He is dressed like it's a Friday. You guys will see him later on in the show. That is reason enough to stick around. Also, you can ask your questions, and we'll do our best to answer them regarding the slate. Bigger questions, broader questions, those are more appealing as opposed to this guy or that guy. We'll entertain all of them, talk about stacks predominantly. Yeah, so your thoughts as far as tonight's slate. What do you have? Give me the overview.
I like it. Like you said, we don't have that typical first day ace back from the All-Star break with all aces resetting their schedule, and we've got plenty of like second tier, like just like number 2 starters. So good pitching, like you said. So I do like the pitching. Pitching isn't the problem, at least for me tonight. Problem is there's like 3 clear offenses. I think that's the way it works out, right? I think it's the Dodgers, obviously the number 1. So we have
Toronto's 2.
Toronto probably 2, and Padres probably 3.
Yeah, but I think there's also some interesting pivots off of that. Like we'll talk about our stacks obviously soon enough, but yeah, Dodgers, Toronto, San Diego's in a nice spot. On the other side of that game, Washington, like I think that Paddock, I mean, he got his face punched in last time he saw his Washington team. And I just don't believe.
But that lineup just looks so terrible, though. That's the problem.
Who's not in the Washington lineup? What have I missed?
I mean, it's just. I mean, they're without Schwarber these days. You know, it's just pretty gross. I mean, the top of it's not so bad with Soto, and I mean, it's pretty bad. But
it's like that Brave thing. Like the top half looks good, and the back half is horrendous. Like that, and even the Brave thing without Acuna looks weak too. And Peterson's not ready to play just yet either. Yeah, you're right. And they are still leading off Escobar, who's pretty cheap on DK, but you know, Turner, Soto, and Bell, I think are really interesting there against Paddock. A couple sneaky ones would be like Oakland and KC. Those are kind of the fringe ones for me.
Oakland for sure, although they never come through for me. So I get a little tentative recommending them. But yep, I'm with you there. The Cubs.
Yeah, that's a tricky one too. We got Madison Bumgarner coming back tonight. You know, he did pitch 4 1/3 his last start. So in theory, he's mostly stretched out. Arizona, one of the worst bullpens in baseball. The Cubs are clear sellers at this point. That, you know, we might lose Bryant off. Well, not necessarily tonight, but Bryant almost definitely gets moved to somewhere. I think he's a free agent in a couple weeks until the is a couple weeks till the deadline. They're going to probably solve a couple of these pieces, Chicago, because there's no reason to hold on just like half of them. Especially, you know, if you don't sign long term. But tonight, that's all we care about. Tonight only. Bryant, Baez, Contreras, even Rizzo, left on left is tricky, and he's had a bad history for Bumgarner, but you know, small samples. I know Chop's not going to like Rizzo. I'm not sure if you saw Rizzo BVP versus Bumgarner. But
no, but Chop didn't mention anything about him, but man, he was just talking about Jesse Winker all day today.
Oh, boy, is that the one? I saw there's another one too, a Haniger. I think it was another kind of sort of somewhat interesting. Winker is the big BVP guy? Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Like 5 homers or something silly like that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll talk about Winkerson against Hauser.
And then the last problem with the slate is, you know, our boy Kevin Roth, who seems to, you know, maybe he's allegedly some people are talking, saying he's had a rough go of it lately. You know, he's been putting some bad positions, and you can kind of feel it in his writing, you know, now. But you know,
I stand by Roth.
I do too. I mean, we're gonna need him tonight. I mean, there's a lot of weather spots, right? It's like it doesn't look like massive weather spots, but you know, there's a lot of stuff we got to know. I mean, there's rain in, you know, multiple spots, so I think we're gonna have to navigate that as well.
Yeah, he's gonna be on Crunch Time later on today, 6:30 on the East Coast. I'll take you guys all up to lock. The article is what it is right now, and it's as accurate as it can be right now. But of course, the closer you get to lock, the more accurate it can be. How do you guys get access to Crunch Time, as well as all the fabulous tools and all the, you know, the article that Cheese writes, the article that Cards writes, the expert survey, the expert rankings, you know, Plate IQ, Slate IQ, all that good stuff. Just for baseball, you can have it just for baseball, $10 off for all the sports. Of course, football right around the corner. Are you loving all the Twitter talk for best balls? Are you partaking in best balls?
Oh my God.
Twitter
I cannot stand it. I cannot stand it. I have hatred for some people now that I used to like. You know, it's like, it's just because and it's all because I'm too lazy to like mute them or you know, I got to get keywords ADP, best ball.
You
Underdog.
tweeted out yesterday. You said, "Who is the worst person you follow?" And I know exactly who you're talking about. I think I know who you're talking about, and I'm sure he's doing a fabulous job.
Oh, he's great at content, right? He's just pumping content out left and right.
It's driving you nuts. I love that.
Oh, it's insane. It's insane when you have multiple and the lineups. So you have to scroll like really far, even just to get rid of it.
All right. $10 off, by the way. We'll go ahead and drop the LinkedIn chapter, you guys. $10 off your first month. You can get all the sports, football, baseball, basketball, golf, MMA, esports, everything but NASCAR. You get $10 off that way as well. You can get the NASCAR package a la carte through Stevie. All right. Enough of the nonsense. Let's talk about the slate. And like, it's deep. There's a lot of pitchers that I'm willing to go out there and pitch. And we should mention, as far as I dropped the LinkedIn chapter, you guys, again, one more time, Ross weather report, but currently orange, yellow in Toronto. Got to keep an eye on that game. That's one of the more dangerous spots. Of course, Minnesota, Detroit, that's rained out. We can forget about that one. Orange, yellow in Cincinnati. And also orange, yellow for the Pittsburgh Met game. Other ones are, to a lesser degree, keeping an eye on, but those are the ones that are scariest. We're going to talk about these games as if they're going to go. But like, Gaussian has been awesome this year. Robbie Ray's been awesome this year. There's McCullers, that one, whatever. Cease, I don't want to pick on Houston. Do you have like, my thought is like, there's 5 or 6 pitchers I'm okay with, maybe 7 I'm okay with, but I have a couple favorites, assuming the weather cooperates. Is that kind of where you're at as well? And tell me who your favorites are. Tell me who are the ones you want to ideally get in.
I love Robbie Ray. Can't say enough positive stuff about him. Just we've been saying it all year. You get that walk rate down to a comfortable level, and you get those strikeouts. And now that he's pitching, pitch count, he pitches deep into games. So as long as you keep those walks down and command good, then he's awesome. So, and you got to like the matchup for him tonight. So he's kind of the number one for me. Now there is that wrinkle with weather, but great matchup against Texas. Should be able to first of all, neutralize any of their left-handed bats, because Robbie, he's just so good against left-handed.
Gallo.
Yeah, exactly. So you Gallo's been absolutely hot. So you neutralize some of that, and there's not much threat in the lineup besides maybe the Cuban Missile, who
He's still trying to make it happen.
Someday it's going to catch. Kevin Gaussian's been an absolute ace. He's been incredible. Yeah. So I like him. I love Tyler Mahle. I hope that people start like putting him down the list because of a couple of walks in the last few games that have put him into some trouble. But this kid has strikeout stuff, and this is the Brewers he's facing. So the strikeouts are there. He's had one masterful performance against them. One he kind of imploded a little bit in the game that he walks. But
if you're a spin rate believer, though, he's one of the guys that's been hit the hardest on that. And like you said, the walks have been spiking of late. That's the part that kind of concerns me. There's some weather there as well too, and I think, isn't it supposed to be reasonably warm if assuming weather clears? It's gonna be kind of warm in Cincinnati. Am I wrong in saying that? I'm trying to pull up the weather right now.
Like 77.
Oh, okay. I was seeing 85, but I guess I got to refresh. Yeah, is that a concern for you? Like, that's a mild concern. Of course, Milwaukee's terrible, and that's subdued to some degree. Wong is back for what it's worth, leading off there for Milwaukee. Not the greatest strikeout lineup necessarily that Milwaukee would offer this year, but there's still plenty. 23.5% as far as striking out versus righties. The price is pretty reasonable. He's one of those guys that amongst the 6 or 7 that if I land on it, so be it. Oh, we got a scratch of Kevin Gaussian. Do we know who's pitching now instead of Kevin Gaussian?
Yeah, Logan Webb.
Oh, okay. He's not as good as Kevin Gaussian.
No, he's not.
Okay, that's interesting. No, what's weird is like I still don't think the Cardinals are great. We'll talk about them soon enough. But all right, cross him off the list. Did you have a thought as far as the spin rates there that I was kind of sort of asking about? And
I don't really care. The spin rates aren't concerning me with Mahle much. It's more or less the humidity there and the ballpark. So I mean, those would be the reasons why I wouldn't play him. But I'm going to be playing him, so I'm not really that worried about it. I think it's more boom or bust in nature as maybe some of the other guys. I mean, there's just so many good plays tonight. Another good boom or bust pitcher too is Andrew Heaney.
Yep.
We're rested, well rested for this matchup, and the high strikeout matchup against Seattle. Charlie Morton is obviously,
that's my other guy. We'll talk about him in a second. Yeah. That's my guy, but go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not scared of playing this AAA Yankees lineup facing them. So Erod is a guy that I could get behind tonight. I could get behind Mania. Danny Duffy's cheap. Now, I think the bat is over projecting pitch count, but I can't say I'm smarter than a computer. I just think I am. So
you can say it.
yeah, I think it's overestimating his pitch count. So I'd be a little worried to roll him out, but I could make the case for the play. And then Sean Manaea is interesting too, now that we get him. So I mean, there's a ton of good arms.
Yeah, I thought Bassett was fine. He was one of those guys in the 6 or 7, and Bassett got scratched for Manaea. To be fair, FanDuel had Manaea all day long, and I just kind of nod with him. Like, that's not what I'm seeing. That's everywhere else says Bassett, but apparently it's going to be Manaea giving a go there for Oakland tonight. You mentioned Erod, and I think especially on FanDuel, if you can open up the world, he's super cheap over there. And the Yankees, of course, they have a COVID issue there. There's no Judge, there's no Urshela. I think a Voit just went on the IL, a DL. I'm not sure if that was COVID related. Doesn't matter for our purposes. LeMahieu, Stanton, Odor's batting third, Sanchez, plenty of Ks there. And then Torres has been pretty bad this year. When Brett Gardner is batting 6, there's 3 guys in your lineup worse than Brett Gardner. Come on, man. I mean, Gittins, he's got a lot of power, but also he's still plenty raw. Ambergay. I was like earlier today, I was trying to figure out who he was, and he had some power in the minors, but nothing impressive. And then Locastro's got some speed, but otherwise, it's not a good lineup, is the point. And let's go back to Charlie.
Odor is batting third, lefty. Like, that should tell you all you need to know.
He's got some lefty power, but also
he's actually this year his numbers are actually pretty good this year against lefties. Small sample.
Yeah, if you stretch it back, it's even stretch it back a couple of years ago. There's still power there, and it's Yankee Stadium, so what you always got to do is get a hold of it. Erod's not the greatest guy for splits either. Like, if my memory serves, this probably better than me. Is he kind of sort of? I don't want to say he's a neutral split guy, but he's not a big dramatic split guy. Correct. It's
very, very, very similar.
So Tampa, I'm pulling up Tampa versus Atlanta. Charlie Morton, Tampa's losing their DH. And again, if you fire up the old put IQ as far as strikeouts, this Tampa lineup is so strikeout heavy. The guy that strikeouts the least this season is Joey Wendell, 19.4% versus righties this season. You got Zunino in there. And again, I know Zunino's an all-star. He hits like 17, 18 home runs. When he's not homering, he's striking out. Like, he doesn't do anything else. Wander Franco's got these weird splits so far where he's striking at a ton versus righties, small samples, obviously. Only twice this year versus lefties. Didn't strike it a lot in the minors, but Brennan Lau, Choi, big strikeout guys. Kiermaier, big strikeout guy. Just all up and down the lineup. And you have the pitchers. They lost their DH as well, too. We're at 30% as far as strikeouts. It's a revenge game for Charlie Morton, if you care about such things. 27% K rate this season. Walks have been an issue to some degree, 8%. And, this Tampa Bay lineup, while they're not striking out, they will strike out plenty. They also walk too, but I think this is the only one, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he's got an extreme pitcher's umpire, which should help him. So Morton is ideally I want to pair Morton with Ray if I can make that work, with the Dodgers. That's kind of my optimal cash game build. Duh. Everybody else is too, I'd imagine. I'm okay stepping down a lot of the guys you mentioned, just kind of open things up. And of course, if weather's an issue with Ray, I'm happy to move off that as well, at least for cash tournaments. I'll chance it depending on, if it's yellow, yada, yada. Your thoughts as far as Morton, where would you rank him? Because I have him pretty high.
I have him pretty high too. So there's like 4 pitchers that I would interchange, that I'm completely comfortable using. And that's Robbie Ray, Charlie Morton, Andrew Heaney, Tyler Mahle. I'm not super comfortable using Heaney. I'm just comfortable in attacking the upside for the price in this matchup. Now, do I think Haniger could take him deep and he could have a bad outing? I mean, if his command isn't there, he's going to have a bad outing. It's that simple with Heaney, but certainly like it. So those are the 4 guys that I want to use. Erod is now kind of my next guy there too, take advantage of that Yankee lineup that we just said. And I mean, there's a lot of ways you could go. Like Stroman is interesting. Kind of
weather issues there.
Yeah, weather issues there. But still an interesting at price, at least on DraftKings for 7,900.
No strikeouts, and Pittsburgh doesn't strike out, but he should, like, in theory, have a quality start. But what's his ceiling? And do you need it?
Correct. But I mean, at 7,900, it's not going to take, an efficient outing could go a long way.
Heaney versus Seattle. We have an official Seattle lineup just set. We're expecting Kelnick back. I think Kelnick due back in the majors. He obviously was just horrific when he came up earlier in the season, but there is some talent there. And yeah, well, this weird thing as far as his splits this season, he's got 28% Ks versus righties. Everything, if he's not striking them out, he's in trouble. But it's kind of like you said, boomer bust matchup. Probably going to be a fair bit of righties in that lineup. None really imposing outside of Haniger. You mentioned Haniger. I love him as a one-off. I think Haniger is like one of the best one-offs in the slate. Oh, or maybe like Juan Soto. I don't know if people are stacking up Washington. We'll see. But those are two of my favorite one-offs as far as the slate. And you mentioned Robbie. Was it Robbie Ray? Who was the guy I was looking at? Yeah, Texas as far as walks. Right, you talk about Ray's walking ability. And I was looking at this season, the starting lineup for Texas tonight. Connor Falefa, 111 at bats, 1.8% walks against lefties this year. Abanez, batting second, 23 appearances, 0% walk rate. Garcia, the Cuban Missile, 114 plate appearances, 3.5% walks. Heim, 3% walks. This lineup doesn't walk outside of Gallo, which I'm fine if he walks Gallo. That's okay. I don't want to see him give up a homer to him, but I just don't anticipate Ray to have his walk issues pop up. His past walk issues, I guess we can say. He's been really good this year. From a walk perspective, from everything perspective. Anything, and also Erod, I saw somebody in chat note this, and I meant to mention it as well, as far as Erod, and we've talked about this one for a while. We're waiting for that positive regression, and it started to come, and he's got an ERA. It's 2 points higher than his xFIP, 5.52 ERA in the season, xFIP at 3.37. He's been super unlucky, 64.5% as far as left on base percentage. Like that's just just some bad luck going on there. And you watch his starts, I'm sure. And so just goofy things always happen with him.
I've been beating this drum for a while that nobody runs worse than Eduardo Rodriguez. Yeah, he's starting to turn the corner and things are starting to go his way. And he's been giving up a few homers this year too that were unlucky. But all the good metrics are there in his favor. The K's now up to about 27%. His walks have been much better at 5.5% this season. So I'm expecting, he could certainly take advantage of this Yankee lineup for sure. And I'm expecting a good outing, and I'm probably going to end up trying to force him in.
The extremes we're seeing as far as the umpire data are sprinkling in, of course, all new series. So it tends to come in late, and every once in a while it's wrong. Like they just pull a switcheroo and it's like misreported or whatever. But some interesting things to note here: extreme hitters umpire for Molly and Hauser, Cincinnati and Milwaukee. Extreme hitters umpire for Fede and Paddock. So that's the Washington-San Diego game. Bill Miller has an extreme, is supposedly behind the plate tonight. We talk about Bill Miller as one of the best guys to have. If you have the pitcher, McCullers has him, Cease has him. And those are both like two perfectly fine pitchers that I'm probably not going to play, but I can't tell you you shouldn't. If you're going 150, they should probably be in your pool. I don't know. McCullers seems a little overpriced. I know that's White Sox lineup's not that great these days. Dealing with a lot of injuries. There's some strikeouts in there too. But McCullers is also one of those guys that he barely can get to 5 1/3 through 90 pitches. He just sort of labors out there sometimes. Your thoughts as far as McCullers and Cease? I guess you're not on them, but I'm not looking to attack them necessarily.
It just depends if he's on or not. He's got incredibly high upside for strikeouts, and I'm not too scared of this White Sox lineup in general. So certainly, he gets the good certainly he's the guy that I would look to. Cease, I'm just not going to pick on Houston. I like Cease as a pitcher. I like his strikeout upside. I don't like the matchup whatsoever. So McCullers will be the guy in this game that I like. And this lineup is not, it's 1, 2, 3. It's really 1 and 3, really, that all I'm really worried about for McCullers. So no one's going to I don't think he's going to get a lot of action because of his price, but it's not, if you're staying away from cores, it's not that hard to make a pretty decent lineup with them. So I do like that for GPPs.
The chat is saying that Adalos Garcia is called El Bambi, which I just did a quick Google search. I believe it stands for the hype, if you translate that to English. I don't know, is that Bambi? 4 years of Spanish down the drain. You'd think I would know this, but I don't know that off the dome. But apparently his nickname is the hype. Do you like that better than your nickname?
He's the Cuban Missile team.
I thought that was Chapman.
I'm not going to hear anything else.
All right. Give me a summary as far as pitchers. Anything else? I mean, we can keep talking about them all day. We got to talk some hitters, talk some stacks, entertain the questions from chat. But anything else of note, like Kyle Hendricks, Adam Wainwright, two more pitchers that are perfectly fine that I'm probably not going to roster. But that's, you can't roster everybody, and there's no point in recommending everyone either because that's not helpful either. But I'm kind of limiting my guys to the ones we talked about. But those guys are fine too. Summary as far as the arms.
Interchangeably, Ray, Morton, Malley, Haney for me. McCullers, I think, is a little deeper of a play that I like. And Erod for sure, someone that has moved up the totem pole so far today with everything that's gone on. And then if I'm looking for safety, I don't really mind Marcus Stroman at 7,900 for sure. But that's pretty much all I'm interested in. Wainwright he's been
very good,
really solid. So I'm tempted, a little bit. I do think the San Fran's overperformed in general. So I could get behind him. His home road splits are insane. So
his win equity went up with Gaussian off the bump.
Yeah. So maybe I could get behind a little Wainwright, but that's it.
He came out and said, like, I was pitching ridiculously hurt. Like he said, they asked him, like, what's the difference this year? He's like, yeah, I'm healthy. I'm pitching healthy, which he wasn't like in years past, apparently. So I think he changed some of his mechanics or something like that. So I can't remember the exact quote, but he says, like, I just feel better. Oh, we didn't mention Julio Urias, who's like a great wild card. he's one of the best, like, actual real good pitchers in the slate, but he's in Coors Field facing a pretty terrible lineup. He's actually been reasonably good in Coors too. I did a quick check on that, considering he's been all right in Coors, and that lineup is obviously bad. You can play him with tournaments as well. But all right, let's go around the horn real quick, and then we'll bring Devin on in his casual Friday outfit. You guys are gonna love it. It's pretty nice. He's certainly enjoying himself. But yeah, let's talk catcher. Go around the horn. We'll do this quickly. Well, no stacks. Let's do stacks first. That's more interesting. We kind of briefly touched on it. How much are you, like, laser focused on the Dodgers? They have a team total just short of 7, currently 6.75 against Senzatella, who's not like the worst. Like, he has a skill, he can get ground balls, but besides that, he's not great. Not going to strike you out.
Yeah, I just have a hard time seeing the Dodgers bust here in this spot. They should be able to. I mean, this is an offense outside of Coors that we would, want. If the Dodgers were at home against Senzatella, we'd be all over it. And so I'm not going to change, of course. Now, obviously, the ownership may get a little drastic. My man Chop wrote up in the expert survey that he's using potentially 2 Dodgers in every lineup he makes tonight as a minimum.
Sure.
So he's going all in on the Dodgers.
Well, that's not all in if you just have 2.
Well, no, I mean, he's going to have Dodgers in every lineup, and it's going to be as high as own stack as well. So that's kind of all in on the Dodgers. It's not all in full stack Dodgers. But anyways, yeah, so, I mean, I like the Dodgers. I'm going to have tons of Dodgers tonight.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the way it's going to go. It's not, I mean, Coors can bust, though. Senzatella is somebody who knows how to pitch there for sure. So, I mean, I like other spots too. I think Toronto's great. I think the San Diego game is going to, against the Nats, that game is going to pop. Like, I like
it too.
I would love both sides, but like I said, that lineup is just trash, but I still think that they put up runs. I do think, I mean, just the overall environment in general for runs being scored in this game, and is where I'm attacking. Red Sox could be sneaky, I think. Oakland is someone that's probably not going to get enough love tonight, so I like that. And then the Reds for sure against Hauser. I mean, Hauser is a guy that I definitely want to pick on.
I'm trying to find the weather here for. Did you mention Kansas City? I think you're on Kansas City as well, right?
They just never get there for me. But yeah, I mean, it's a good spot against Keegan Aiken and that bullpen for sure. They're a little bit down the list.
I know you're a big dew point guy in
Huge
Washington.
Dew point guy.
90-degree temperature, blown out a little bit to center field, 5 miles per hour. The dew point is 69. Is that nice? Not nice? Is that good for you as far as dew point?
That's very nice.
Very nice.
Very nice.
6.4% bump as far as homers we've seen in 116 games. And like, you're right. Like, Jordy Mercer's batting 6. Like, what in the world? Rene Rivera, Victor Robles, one-time prospect, but it's just not really happening with him. But the front half is pretty appealing. Well, like 2, 3, 4. and that's kind of it.
That's it. Like 2, 3, 4, maybe Josh Harrison.
Maybe, yeah. He's really cheap on DK, isn't he? Yeah, he's 2.6, so like sure. And Escobar, it's a really cheap stack. Like you can get that chat. Any way you want to stack that Washington team is very cheap. I'll say that. If you want to go five wide, you can get Turner and Soto easily because Escobar doesn't cost anything, and Harrison, Mercer. Trying to see if there's anything else kind of note as far as the stacks. Cincy's an interesting one too, whether pending. Atlanta's the same deal. Like you take Acuna out of that lineup and look how rough it looks. Monte leading off. It's Freeman and Albies, and Riley's fine. Arcia, Swanson, Heredia, Kevon Smith.
I like top 4 and 6, Swanson.
Yeah. I mean, nobody's playing Houston, and there's good players in that team, but I think Cease is pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. I think he's pretty good too. Certainly they could put up some runs, but that's not really where I'm going.
All right, let's go around the horn real quick, then we'll turn over questions to the chat. Catcher, you can only have 5 guys, obviously, on the Dodgers. On DK, you can have 4 on FanDuel. You don't necessarily have to roster a catcher on FanDuel, but Will Smith looks like a really strong play to me. I don't know if I'm prioritizing him as my 5 in cash for DK. I'm not sure if that's what I'm doing, but he's also been a big reverse splits guy. If you care about such things, like it's righties much better than lefties, and whatever sample you want to look at. And the price is pretty reasonable. He's the cleanup hitter in cores for a team that has a team total just short of 7. And it's 4.6. That's perfectly fine. I think FanDuel's like 3.3 or something like that, 3.2. I like Will Smith. I don't know how popular it's going to be. I don't know if he's popping in optimals. Traditionally, I like many, just like to get in as cheap as possible as far as my catcher and get the stuff I actually want. But I might prioritize Smith. Are you prioritizing Will Smith?
I am. I mean, the other option would be going, cheap down to like a Caratini, but you're giving up a lot and lineup spot for him. But he is cheap. But Will Smith is clearly number 1 catch and play on the slate. Salvador Perez is probably not going to get a ton of ownership tonight.
Big price, but fine matchup.
Yeah,
5-4.
Yeah, for sure, it's a good matchup. Wilson Contreras, 4,500 against Bumgarner. Maybe maybe Christian Vasquez, who has hit left-handed pitching pretty well. The Red Sox have just demolished the Yankees all season long this season. I expect them to win again tonight. I think that's I'm not sure what the current line is on that game. It was pretty much pick 'em today.
That's what it has on the RG page. I have to refresh that. That usually reflects it, but I have to check the actual odds or go to a site or something like that. But yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think if it's a pick 'em, Boston.
It's a pick 'em. Get every dollar you can possibly mortgage on your house, your car, anything you can get a loan from your bookie, anywhere you can get. I don't care what the points are on it. Hammer the Red Sox tonight.
Adam Sandler, this is how he wins, right?
Yes. This is how he wins.
Let's jump to first base real quick as far as prioritizing first base when there's some big spends there, obviously. Max Muncy, first base eligible. Shohei Ohtani, he's still playing baseball. Vladdy for Toronto. And I think Matt Olson's an incredible pivot off those guys, and nobody's going to play him. Maybe if you just want him one-off, you don't have to necessarily stack Oakland. Oakland, not a great ballpark, obviously. I don't think the weather's great there either, but it's Olson versus, small samples, but Eli Morgan's giving up, 3.3 homers per 9, like 8 in 21 innings. It's a small sample, but he's not been good, and he doesn't appear to be, a legit major league pitcher. What are you looking at as far as first base?
First place, believe it or not. So obviously I share your sentiment with Max Muncy, with Shohei Ohtani. I mean, Ohtani's just an absolute stud. Yeah. Muncy is in cores against a low strikeout pitcher. Certainly he can get it up in the air and have a monster game here today. Other than that, the guys I'm looking for, if Vlad gets overlooked, he's never going to be overlooked. But his price is 6,400. It's It's just so crazy. I don't remember seeing that in baseball. But anyway, so Vlad, obviously those guys are just studs. From there, like Jared Walsh, I think has a lot of home run upside. He's probably going to get overlooked because he's kind of priced a little bit too high than he normally has been. I love Trey Mancini tonight. Duffy is someone that we can attack. So, he was great until he kind of lost some time from injury and hasn't quite looked the same. His velocity's been down a little bit. Trey Mancini, we saw him in the, coming off of the home run Derby. I actually was rooting for him to win. I had bet on him.
His pitcher was like a ringer, man. He was throwing some meatballs. He was incredible.
But
the guy was throwing the balls to Mancini. I mean, it's a two-man operation. Like, it's very important. I think it was the guy that Soto's guy wasn't very good. I think that's very important. It's underlooked. But
definitely.
Yeah.
I was bitching about somebody. I don't remember who though. But anyways, love him. And I don't think the Duffy's going to have that huge a leash. He hasn't even hit over 80 pitches since he's come back. I think the bat had him like 94. I mean, it could make sense to stretch him out further, but I'm not sure that they will. And that bullpen is fourth in home runs per 9 out of all bullpens. Trey Mancini, I like him to go yard today. I like the Baltimore as a sneaky stack in general. They hit left-handed pitching very well, and I don't think they're going to get much ownership at all. So I
they're
like
definitely
them.
not.
Yeah, that's a strong GPP play for me, at least an Orioles stack. But love Trey. Like your Matt Olson call. Would love Pete Alonso. 6K.
No polar bear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you can play him, but I don't know. It's you saw that he made more money in the home run derby than he's gonna make the entire season. I'm sure you saw that, right?
Sorry, what?
He made more money winning the home run derby.
Yeah, $1 million each year. Yeah.
Or he's made more money in the home run derby in his career than he's made money in his entire career.
$2 million. Yeah.
Like, he's gonna get paid eventually, obviously. Arbitration and there's team control for the first 7 years, whatever it is. But it's just sort of an interesting. He's definitely out there trying for the home run derby for sure. More, I mean, they're all trying, but you know what I mean. He needs more. He needs the money more than the other guys.
Paul Goldschmidt could be worth a look against Logan Webb now, kind of an upgrade in matchup.
Sure. Let's hit second base. Muncy also available there too. Specific to FanDuel, I'm not sure if he's second base or third base. Cronenworth's is really cheap over there. On DK, it's a little bit more kind of what it should be, 4.7K. And Kike Hernandez seems a little bit too cheap as well. I think he's 3K in FanDuel and I know he's 4K on DK, leading off there on the road, locked in, I don't want to say locked in, but really well positioned for 5 ABs in Yankee Stadium at a reasonable price. And Montgomery's not somebody we're afraid of. And historically, we like Kike versus lefties. Where are you at as far as second?
Yeah, I like that. I like Cronenworth a lot. 4,700. He's cheap on FanDuel. Whit Merrifield, you have to like. David Fletcher is starting to come on a little bit. He's starting to hit the ball harder. He's actually over the last month 7th in hard contact.
What?
Yeah, believe it or not, it's not a huge sample at all, but he's starting to. His Statcast numbers are starting to rise a lot. So I know we're not interested in him normally because he's just a slap sort of hitter, but the numbers are pointing me in his direction right now. So I mean, he's cheap, so I can get behind that.
How cheap is he? Like, he's like a flat out punt?
It's 2,900
okay
on DK.
Yeah, I'm looking for some place to save some salary. Like, Gavin Lux is one of the guys I thought was kind of interesting, but I hate the 8-hole in the National League. But we'll talk. He's 3.2K in Coors Field, so we'll talk about that, I guess, soon enough at shortstop. And I'll still probably get some. But it's God, 8 and 7 seems so much different, just with the pitcher behind you. But maybe that's probably a mental block for me as well. We'll talk about shortstop in a second. We got to get a move on. We want to knock out these questions from chat. They are firing them up. If you haven't knocked them out, do ask your question in chat. Devin will be pulling them and joining us later on the show and firing them off the questions. And we'll do our best to answer before we step aside and make way for crunch time. Give me the hot corner, third base. Who are you looking at?
All right. Justin Turner is the number one play if we can get him. Chris Bryant is a lefty masher, certainly has some history with Bumgarner. His
He's
price
cheap,
is
too.
cheap. Yep. They're probably going to be unloading him soon, but
Showcase game.
Yeah, I like.
GMs don't know if he's good or not. They have to watch this one game.
Yeah, correct. So then it's, does he want to get out of there? But anyway, Arizona Diamondbacks bullpen is atrocious, right? So if we're getting a shortened Bumgarner, and the matchup with Bumgarner is good enough in general, but that bullpen is so bad too behind it that these Cubs are shooting up the list and they're all affordable. So I like Chris Bryant a lot. Machado, you have to like. Kevin Biggio is a way to play some Blue Jays for cheaper. Eugenio Suarez Hauser's just not a strikeout guy, so there's a good chance of a home run for Suarez in this one. So I like him. Those are kind of the guys I'm looking at.
Hauser, 59% ground balls in the year. That's the one thing that's his one big skill. By the way, the lineup of the Mariners did come out. Haniger is batting second. Kelnick is back. He's batting eighth. Rowley is catching. I think he's
they took Dylan Moore as a cheap play away from us.
He's batting ninth. I mean, you can do it, but yeah. Is that a mush? Is that your official mush play, Dylan Moore? Don't play Dylan Moore. He's batting ninth.
So he'll homer. Yeah, I mean, who wants to play a number 9 hitter for Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's nobody really does, but every once in a while you do see the 9 guy, the 8 guy, the 7 guy with 2 homers, and it's like, in the 7-inning game, it's like, well, who could have saw that coming? All right, let's speed this up just a little bit so we can get Devin on here. We're at shortstop. I referenced Lux as a cheapie. Of course, Bo Bichette's pretty interesting. Semion's interesting. Tatis, if you want to spin all the way up, we talked about liking that San Diego Washington game. Baez, if you want to, mini stack Chicago, I assume he's going to be in the lineup as well. What do you have for me as far as shortstop?
Tatis, Story, Xander, Bichette. That's my top 4. Gavin Lux for cheap if you need him. Outside of that, Chris Taylor, Javier Baez, Trey Turner against Paddock. And that's about it. I'm not messing with Gleyber Torres. His StatCast stuff is just horrendous.
Mm-hmm.
He did homer, I think, in his last game. But I need to see a little. I mean, he just looks tempting at that price, but there's a lot of opportunity cost at short tonight.
Yeah, I'm not playing, and I think Erod's good. Like I don't see any reason to go out of my way on that. As far as this is the tricky one for me, man. And I know, you know what? Remember you asked me? I think you asked me on a show last week about Cody Ballinger. And I bet he's still super cheap on Yahoo. He's like, I think he's
$14 even in court.
Yeah. And like you asked me about him, like that's somebody I've meaning to dig in on. And I took like 10 minutes today and I was kind of looking at his stuff. And he's at the highest K rate he's had in his entire career, the lowest WOBA, the lowest exit velocity. Like it's still okay. And he's still in cores. And I'm not here to mush. If I'm just, I don't know how much I want.
The breakout is tonight. I'm
keep
going. I have to play him on Yahoo.
You got to play him. Like, I mean, if you're playing cash games and you're playing one lineup, like, it's hard not to play Bellinger, obviously. But the advanced stuff is suggesting that he's, not the same guy. Of course, he's had MVP seasons and he's been spectacular. So even like the slight downgrade is not the same guy. Same thing with Yelich too, by the way. It was kind of cheap and. But I didn't love what I was seing, basically. The exit velocity
down, rough. It's really rough. Yep, everything about it is rough. Now he was injured for a little bit, but we're all kind of waiting. I mean, everyone's just plugging him in because median projections love him still.
Correct. But I don't know what to do with them, and I might be underweight on Bellinger. That's my one way to be different in my tournaments, and it's not a comfortable feeling because when he connects, he's got like the prettiest swing in baseball, man. It looks so good. But when he doesn't, and you mentioned Winker, it's a well-positioned BVP, whatever. JD Martinez just seems really cheap against Montgomery. Historically against lefties, I always annihilated them. 4.6K on DK. That just seems too cheap for me. The San Diego outfielders are always a little too cheap on FanDuel. Tommy Pham.
Grisham, I love Grisham tonight.
Yeah. Give me what else you have. Or I think Naquin is kind of cheap. Both
Naquin unlocks a lot over on FanDuel.
And who's the other one? If Arizona plays Cole Calhoun, he's 2K on DK.
Yeah,
as much. So I hesitate to look at his advanced stuff this year.
Well, I mean, he's been out with a hamstring injury for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, historically, he's been like an above average hitter, but I don't know if that guy's walking through the door. What else do you want to add as far as the outfield? The Toronto outfielder, all those guys you can play, right?
Yep. And so you're probably going to look to Teoscar for the price savings a little bit, but Springer, all those guys, you can play any of them. Abraham Almonte has been good. He's been very good. And leading off now, taking the place from Acuna, like I don't mind that for 2,900. So like I would feel much better with him as opposed to like trying to play for 2K for Cole Calhoun in his first game back.
All right, let's we teased it enough. Let's bring Devin on. Suns out, guns out, as somebody said there in the chat. And I believe I think we can confirm that. There's a list, definitely something out. I don't know if it's the Suns.
The sun's out. I can confirm. I went to my car and it took all of about 10 steps for an entire layer of sweat to form around my body. So, yeah, I think I can confirm it's hot.
There you go. Gavin, you got some questions for us?
I do. I have questions. I got stacks. Hope you all had a nice break. Smash that like button. And let's get started with the stacks game. So first off, KC, Dean.
Yeah, I like KC. They're like my 6th favorite, probably. I would put them at a 2.9.
Yeah, I'll say 2. I'm much higher on the other side, Orioles.
Cubs. Kirk.
Solid 4.
Do you have to full stack that? Like, could you just?
I want to see a lineup though. Wisdom's cheap on a bunch of sites.
Yeah,
we'll call that mini or full stack.
See if he makes it.
And we'll well, for the sake of the game, we'll call mini a 3-man stack.
Yeah, they got a pretty big number too as far as their team total, which isn't surprising. And the lineup should be coming out soon enough. It's a West Coast game, obviously. I'll put it at a 3 as well. I'm interested. I'm interested in the Cubbies.
Houston.
I don't.
2.
Yeah, I mean they're good, but I don't think I'm playing them.
Rockies.
You remember we used to love playing, Trevor Story versus a lefty in Colorado? That was like a must play. You have to do it. And I don't know. It's fine. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm probably not. And the guys around him kind of stink. The Cronin Story, and then what else? What else excites you?
Not much. Blackman's just horrendous this season.
Yeah, it's done. 10 time for him.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm adding him to the list.
I know. I definitely.
There it is.
Atlanta.
It's the same deal, though, right? Like, how do you stack this team?
1 through 4, baby. 1 through 4 and 6. Well, I like it. So I'm
What's your put a number on?
3.5.
Yeah, you were talking up Abraham Almonte, right?
Yeah.
You won't find that anywhere else. I'm guessing. I don't know. 2.5. I'll go up on a 2.5 on Atlanta. Like, I don't think Walker's scary. Obviously, Tampa's got a good pen, but nice ballpark.
Nice dew point.
I was gonna go 2.4, and then I saw the dew point. I better make it 2.5. I'm gonna make it a 2.5 based upon the dew points.
Cleveland, round off the game.
No, not for me.
Like,
not even a number. Just no.
I mean, no.
I mean, only thing. I mean, it would be like I'd rather just play like Franville.
Didn't even get the courtesy 0 from Dean. Just said no.
Manaya's good, man. I'd say like 1.5.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 1.5. And if you want to play Franville or J-Ram, stack those two up, whatever. I'm okay with that. But terrible ballpark, bad matchup, bad collection of hitters. What do you want? Like, why? There's 26 teams playing baseball tonight.
All right, I'm gonna rattle off a couple of pitchers. Give me the 1 through 5 for these as well for tournaments. Yeah. McCullers, Dean.
3.
3.5.
Paddock.
1.5. Probably less.
I can't go there.
Washington looks bad though.
2. Just because he's so cheap.
Duffy.
2.75.
I'm saying 2. I'm just not there.
Hendricks.
He's another guy that might get moved, right? Like it's all these guys that are like good pitchers but don't strike anybody out.
I kind of like Hendricks. I could see that one, so I'm going to say 3.5.
Logan Webb. Now that he's on the slate today.
I don't care how much he is. I'm not playing him. Like I don't think I need him. Right? Is he like 4K? If he's 4K, maybe. But I don't think he's 4K.
69.
Yeah, not nice for me. I'm no interest for Webb for me.
Same with you, Kirk.
2.
All right, Flexen.
1. Why?
1.
1, and also why?
Well, because there's this collection of guys that are 7 to 8K that are just a little bit more that are actually like good and like pretty decent. You can make reasonable arguments for Heaney. You can make a reasonable argument for Urias or for Stroman or for Manaya. Or from Raleigh, and there's not that much more. So what's the point? Like, why even bother? That's sort of my take. You tell me I'm wrong, Curtis.
No, I'm with you. I have a pretty solid, like 6-7 guys that I like tonight, and that's it.
Yeah.
We are that question was dumb, and we are now dumber for having heard it.
No. We encourage the questions. We like the questions. We like the interaction. We're not here to make. That's not what. That's we want to make that clear, Devin. We're not making fun, but yes, like that's the that was. I don't know what movie was that. Was that
Happy Gilmore. No, not
Happy Gilmore.
Billy Madison. That's the one.
Yeah, I knew I had Adam Sandler. That's whoever had over on the 1.5 Adam Sandler references.
Yeah, right.
Asher
Surprise.
We did it twice.
A couple of more real quick. We'll rattle off before we wrap here. Mr. Donk was saying, shouldn't Waka and Erod get bumps due to the confirmed lineups? Do you guys agree?
Erod, yes. Waka is just. I mean, I have no interest in playing Waka.
He's like he has it in him to throw a solid game, so I can see it. It's just like you got to be mass entering to, or at least like knowing you're throwing money away to just throw him in there.
He's got a really quick hook, and he's in the National League where he can get pinch hit for like in the 5th inning, and he's also not good.
All right, so we'll round off the show here with the mush lineup. It is Dylan Moore, Cody Bellinger, Yelich, and Blackman.
That's a pretty good mush lineup.
That's a pretty good mush lineup. You could do worse. All
yeah,
right, Dean,
I mean,
bring
and
us
again,
home.
I'm going to have some Bellinger begrudgingly, but I'm probably going to have less in the field, and I don't want to click that button, which might sound absurd, but it's too cheap if he's the guy he's supposed to be. Curtis, you got somebody that's going to homer tonight?
We're getting jiggy with it. Will Smith is my Dodger. That's my number 1 Dodger homer. And then, man, I'm just going to say Tyler Naquin goes deep.
From the no stack that Dean gave.
Wait, I didn't say no on Cincinnati, did I?
Oh, Naquin. Wait, isn't he on Cleveland? No, he is.
No.
Used to be.
Come on,
man.
Devin.
Man, I'm
Was on.
rusty. I'm rusty.
What year are you in?
Oh, geez.
Somebody took a DeLorean today. Yeah, I'll say Soto. I mean, these are just like really good players that are not going to be owned. Soto, Haniger, and Olsen. Like I know they're expensive, but they're really good players that are not going to be owned. I don't think. Maybe Soto will. All right, we got to step aside and get out of here. Devin's got to set up crunch time for the people. Do like and subscribe on your way out the door. We do appreciate the interactions, despite the fact Devin wants to make fun of them for saying the question was terrible.
It's sickening. It's sickening the way he treats people.
I have to write a letter to HR on behalf of Chad.
Oh, no. It's an incident.
That was Devin. That was
you guys even show his... Did they?
Oh, I'm on. Yeah,
okay.
it's
up.
up.
Any comments in chat? Like for that, if nothing else, just like for Devin's dressing to the nines
For the sun's
today.
out, yeah, because it's hot.
Was there
out.
any comments in chat for that?
Oh, there's always comments, Dean.
Yeah. All right, well, we got to get out of here. You have to set up show. Like, subscribe, turn on notifications. This was baseball. That was Kirk Dees. That was Devin. I was Dean. We're out of here. Holler.